And I think that's what we're striving for, but somehow we fell off the rail.
Well, because it's the same problem. We're looking at it in global warming, right? Like you said, you got to give up your car.
If you really want to stop it, you got to go electric.
Even the most green person, that makes them just a little bit, not even a little bit, that makes them a lot, because so much work would have to be done. That's what that study said. $54 trillion of investment used to flip what needs to be done.
But that's okay, because you can get solar panels on your roof. I don't know if you can if you live in an apartment, but they could.
Sure you can.
You could put it in the yard, and you could plug your car into the energy that you got from the sun that day.
Exactly.
And the day that it didn't, then you can go on public transportation or walk or ride your bike. It's not viable for everyone to ride a bike to work, but I think we could do a lot more than we're doing, because we're saying, oh, well, you got to stop global warming. Well, get rid of that.
Right.
And you got a car that's not a big gas guzzler, but we all need to get like...
But it does still guzzle gas.
It does.
Eventually, if we went from the top down, it would still get to me at some point.
So the technology's here to have solar panels, to plug your car in from the energy you caught on the day. And you can buy a battery to store for the cloudy days. So we can do it.
Yeah, it can be done.
Today.
But again,
who's doing it?
It's all in how it's sold, right? That's like the power of the president is the bully pulpit. And it's all in how he sells these things, or it's all in how an idea is sold, right? You remember when cell phones came out, everybody was talking about radiation and this, that, and the other. But the way cell phones were sold is these are going to make your life easier, you deserve this, you're going to have a lot of fun with this. It was cool, it was sexy, it was a thing. So nobody cared about all of the radiation and stuff. We just moved on. Even the people that...
Right, we kind of forgot about it, didn't we?
We completely forgot about it. So that's how it needs to be sold, is that this is going to make life better. But the way you do that, you have governments come together, unfortunately, and this is a whole nother, this is for another Cheatcast, but governments come together, they subsidize the industries, they subsidize the people to get this done. Government can run at a loss. Government does not have to run on a profit. Right? So we're already running on loss. We have more debt than we have income. So
always have been.
Not always.
No, there was a
time
couple
when we were fiscally responsible.
Well, didn't
but it didn't last long.
Right, it didn't last. But I mean, every household has some debt.
Most, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do you pay cash for everything?
No.
You put a lot on a card.
Sure.
And I think we all do.
Sure.
Because it's easier. You have the cash. But it's just easier to whip out that card and
because there's something that's not real about the card.
It's not real.
The cash is real. You can touch it. You can watch it disappear.
And you can pay on your phone now, right? You got that little thing. You just.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's convenient.
It's very convenient.
Yeah.
It's faster. It's faster than waiting for change.
Faster.
So the convenience factor is there. Yeah. So it just needs to be sold, and it needs to be done correctly. That's all. We're gonna. What I was saying in the sci-fi series, you see it when they are up and coming, but they're beyond sort of the adolescent phase. They are established. They're not going anywhere. They're just dealing with the remnants of the past. Where the real story comes in the series is about book 5, book 6, where the founders of this society have to make the hard decisions, right? And they are crazy hard decisions. And this was inspired by an episode in history, but I have this group of folks that comes to them for help. I don't know what the reason will be, because part of joining their society is you have to give up your religion, you have to give up your nationality, you have to give up your race, you have to basically give up everything other than the fact that you're a human being. That's it.
That might not be a bad thing.
Exactly. You have to give up everything.
Right. Why do you have to hold on to these things anyway?
That are all
a more perfect society is just going to be a human being.
Correct.
You don't look at this guy for what he has, what he doesn't, the color of his skin, or where he worships. Those things are not that important.
Right.
I mean, wars are fought over them.
But they're all
it's
made
not
up.
that important.
They're designed to divide.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
They made a certain amount of sense when we lived in a world of scarcity, but we don't live in that world anymore.
Right.
So they don't.
That's
there's
utopia.
no place for them. They're. It's not a utopia. It's just better than what we have now. because they have their own problems. And I made sure to come up with problems that they had. But we would look at those problems like, oh, come on. But the same way someone in the Middle Ages would look at the problems we have, not necessarily global warming.
Well, human nature will rear some
Sure, there's
things.
always going to be holes in the system.
Jealousy.
Right? And that's why they don't use the word utopia. But there's a group of people, they are starving. They have walked many, many leagues to get there. Because this is after the collapse. Because ultimately, the theorem of the book is that what's happening come 2030 will result in the end of civilization as we know it. And that may be dire, but it also gives birth to this. The posited question is, can our brightest error come from our darkest hour? That is sort of the tagline of the series. And how do we get there? And so there's this episode in which these people who are starving, they are in a bad way. And for them to get in, they have to renounce something. Whatever that is, I don't know what it is just yet. It could be their race, it could be their religion, it could be their socioeconomic stat, which there isn't really much of at that point, but their nationality, it could be any of those things. You have to get rid of that. There is this subset of people called the Tenebarius, the outsiders, that these people, so the Arcadians, they are humane. They're not going to necessarily toss you out into the wild, but you don't get to come in if you don't follow these very strict philosophies, right? Of human, that is it, and we go from there, you know? So gender isn't an issue, age isn't really an issue. It's what can you do and how can you help? That's it. And so whatever the line in the sand that's going to be drawn, this group of people is going to get turned away because they refuse to give it up, which is a devastating moment because these are supposed to be the good guys. But this is one of the hard decisions that get made in order to propel humanity forward. Not about, I don't care about your country, that's made up. It's just invisible lines in the sand, quite frankly. Literally in the Middle East, just invisible lines in the sand.
Right. So,
you know, your nationality is just it's a matter of circumstance, a matter of luck, where you were born. Your ethnicity is the result of too much inbreeding, quite frankly, right? Not enough genetic diversity, as it were. And your race is a matter of a couple of mutations in your DNA that you wouldn't be able to find if you had 90 years to try and find it.
Right? Supposedly, in time, we're all going to become one race.
Sure.
I mean, that's eventually.
Well, the best way to do it is have everybody have sex and have babies. And that was the fun, that was one of the things. So how do you deal with child rearing in this world? And they have people there, because we can all admit there are people that are better at being parents than others, right? There are people that are terrible parents. There are people that are amazing parents. And parenting is an occupation. The rearing of children is an occupation in this world.
Sure is.
And so what they do is, and they're right on the precipice of creating the artificial womb, which is going to change everything. But what the standard is, you're not limited, like hard press limited, but everyone has 2 children, and those 2 children are with 2 different people for genetic diversity. Because the more diverse our gene pool is, the stronger we are as a species.
Do you get 2 wives or more?
They don't have marriage. They don't have marriage.
Like in this society, more
right?
and more.
They don't have marriage. And marriage was a concept that was created out of ownership, right? The ownership of one's DNA. And so you would own your wife and you would own your children, which seems kind of crazy today, but that's what it was born out of. There's no need for it. We see it already. Marriage is very antiquated.
Right, it is becoming.
And I know with millennials, the divorce rates are down with millennials because we don't get married until we're much older now. So we have a better grasp of what's going on. But we also don't have children until we're much older. I'm an exception to the older millennial, but there's
Right. It used to be 16 and you were married and had kids.
Right. And
not
like,
no more.
oh, you get married for the legal protections, but you can. Why isn't there just a system that is your what is it? The attorney privileges you can give someone, a power of attorney, right? So you can hand power of attorney over to people. Why not, especially in the age of the internet, every quarter, once a quarter, you fill out a questionnaire, right? The first time you do it, and it's a long questionnaire. Who do you want your assets to go to? Who are you with? Yada, yada, yada. And then those people, in the event that something should happen to you, they're the ones that decide X, Y, and Z for you. All right? And you just update that every quarter. You get a little reminder, you go and you change anything that needs to be changed, and you move on, right? And so in the event that something happens to you, then that person takes over. Instead of, oh, you have to be married in order for this person to make medical decisions. What if you've been with this person for 30 years? You just never got married. This person has your best interests at heart. You've lived together, you've had children together, and now because you didn't say, hey, honey, what we've got is so good, we need to get the state involved, because you never said that. Now suddenly this person can't make decisions.
It's archaic laws that need to be changed.
Right,
We
that's
do need
insane.
to change. You have to upgrade. Just like you have to upgrade your phone every so. You got to upgrade these laws.
Upgrade society.
We do.
Absolutely. And so they don't have marriage. They don't have ownership in general. It's kind of like the military, right? You don't own anything in the military, but you take care of everything in the military. Thank you for joining us for that clip of our weekly podcast. If you want to get more Bonage footage or join us for the entire podcast, head on over to Patreon, where our Eagle, Tiger, and Dragon subscribers get access to not only what we cast and talk about, but advanced lessons in your forms, in your Tai Chi, and in your life.